It's a people, it's a community, it's a life, it's a heart, it's a spirit.
Parents of gay children say, I want my son, my gay son, to have the same opportunity to come to me and say, hey Dad, I'm getting married, as my non-gay son or my non-gay daughter.
The heck would you want a picture of a tattoo of $1,000 on your penis for?
You might just need to satisfy yourself sexually alone at that point.
Do I regret it? Not one bit. Did I think that I would actually take it the next step and do it again? You know.
And what goes into their life, how they handle it. There are 12 houses, and each one of those houses has a particular function.
Look into yourself, think about it, and just be whoever it is that speaks to you.
Hello, my name is Jon Griffith, and welcome to another half hour of Talking About. For this half hour, I have two very special returning guests. Ryan Stephenson, welcome back.
Thanks, it's good to be back.
And Pat Ebron, also known as Ebony Dawn, welcome back for another half hour with me.
Glad to be here.
And we are live, and we're taking your calls, and we're talking. We're just having a little chat, and we want to involve the viewer in this chat. I talked about previously hip-hop culture with you, and we've spoken somewhat about writing and your writing. That would probably be a good starting point. Maybe how the two come together.
Oh, I know her daughter. I met her daughter, and we basically network on some projects that we were working on, and she brought to my attention that, you know, how her mother's a writer, you know, and the books that she wrote, you know, and actually, congratulations on the book, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much.
Absolutely great, you know, in the process of finishing that one as well. But it's good. It's good. It also goes back into like what we were basically discussing before about as far as the hip hop culture and the evolution of where it's going as far as the new generation is concerned, and where, you know, where is it geared to. And when I was actually listening to the other show, as far as the reading, which is great, because I like her style, and what she's trying to bring back as far as reading. I mean, like the market now, from what I see, the market is filled, not taking away from any other writers, the market is filled with a lot of authors with books that's more drama oriented, you know what I mean, about, you know, real hard life struggles. And I see a lot of the young generation, they are drawn to that, you know. Reading is good, but sometimes I even question to some of these young new readers, you know, to like be sort of like careful and cautious on some of the material that they read, that they're incorporating into their system. You know, it's like you could get a brand new young reader to read a book about a drug life or something like that from the street, and depending on how they're coming up, you know, we don't know exactly what role they will probably play in their life as far as inspiration goes. You know, that's why, in a sense, the stories that she brings, it still brings back, I mean, it's about emotions and moments, but it brings back those warm feelings about relationship and real people. You know what I mean? We still have those. I mean, all of our lives is basically about drama all the time. You know what I mean? We have our moments to where, you know, we laugh, we cry, we sit, we watch TV. You know, we have our times, and we want to feed that to the young generations as well. You know, that's like, it's the same thing with the music, you know. If we consistently give them hardcore, you know, music, you know what I mean, that will like take you to an area of being angry all the time, then for the most part you'll probably just be inspired by anger, you know, and growing apart.
What is reflected in the current state of the world can provoke a lot of different emotion, whether it be joy, whether it be sadness, anger and sorrow.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on right now to react to, and people reflect that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there are numerous controversies going around, you know, political and otherwise, political, personal, celebrity, and unfortunately the celebrity is often overshadowing the legitimate news.
Yeah,
Yeah.
isn't that something?
do I really want to see Naomi sweeping out a garage or scrubbing a toilet?
Or how many times Britney Spears run out of the rehab,
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I mean, entertainment is entertainment, but there's a lot of stuff we can cover. There's a lot of stuff we can cover that we're probably like overlooking, giving too much attention to, certain areas. Yeah.
So, I mean, just to recap a little bit, your primary field of writing has been, to this point, the short story form, as well as the children and the plays. But
Right.
you, in our first half hour, you stated that so far you've gotten the most out of the short story form.
Yes.
Aside from reflecting what's within you and the people you see and those around you, how much of the world around you is reflected?
I was listening to what you were saying about the times, and I'm glad you noticed that within my stories, there's a certain time and a certain feeling of the time, yes. And I'm glad it came out. Because you have to be aware of what's going on around you.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, in other words,
And that
not
was
just
really,
one side of it. There are many
enjoyed
sides to the spectrum. There's many sides,
Yeah.
and especially for new readers, the new generation, we want to make if they're going to be exposed, because from what we see, the younger generation is like a fast growing generation. They are picking up and learning so fast, and the world of opportunity is so open now. I mean, from computers, internet, it's like now, I mean, our show now, there could be a child under 12 years old right now watching this show as we speak.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they have access. They can get to it. And if they're going to be open to something, we're going to make sure they get everything. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of lies being thrown across, whether it's thrown across the screen or just thrown across overall, but we want to make sure that we feed them what they need to grow, because as we know it, they are the future of tomorrow. But if we don't feed them what they need to basically take control tomorrow, there won't be no tomorrow. Absolutely. So we have to take some type of responsibility.
Well, I
when we feed
absolutely
them.
agree with that.
We have
Everything
to.
can't be the Matrix. It's
Right.
not real.
Yeah.
How can they focus on that? Or they're not saying anything wrong with the Matrix. It's good entertainment,
Right.
but I mean, to deal with people is
To use your respective art forms to help improve the next generation.
Right.
There's something to be said for that, instead of purely being reflective and the arts have a lot of influence over well, not just young minds, but any viewer, spectator, listener, reader, to bring out the emotion, to bring out the feeling, to bring out the respect or disrespect toward those around them. And how can you and your arts influence that for a better next generation?
to bring out the real, the human aspect.
Show them everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like hip hop, right? It grew. Coming up in hip hop, watching the birth of hip hop, it grew from all genres of music, which a lot of the new generation don't understand. That you see, they were born into hip hop. In other words, when they first got a taste of music, probably the first song they heard was hip hop. But when I was born, that wasn't the first music I heard. So I heard all music from all different scales. So when it was time to put it together, you're coming from creativity. Now we're going to create a sound out of all the sounds we heard. We have a lot of artists today, new inspiring artists today, that's creating that new sound from sounds that they heard. So there's a lot of music out there that's just refurbished, just being reprocessed over again, aside from taking it from all different, walks. You have to love and be creative with your music and love other types of music. I spoke to artists before to where they don't listen to no other music, so they don't even know what they're missing. As far as hearing certain instruments, a certain type of sound, or certain type of vocals and stuff like that, to basically incorporate that into finding who they are as far as being a creative artist that's gonna last in this business. Aside from listening to one artist and sounding like that one artist, you know, because how far can you get sounding like another artist, you know?
Right.
Or making something that can be classical and make history 20 years from now.
Right. I mean, if you think back to, if anybody remembers carbon paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you put, you know, paper, carbon, you can only press so hard before the bottom, yeah, and even the bottom sheet is going to be just a poor rendition of the original writing.
That's right. And
I do want to invite the viewer to join in with this conversation. Our phone number for a live call-in on March 22nd, 2007 is 718-460-9802. That number is on your screen. Please call in and give us a shout. And we do have a caller on right now. So, caller, whenever you're ready, speak up, say hello, and introduce yourself to us.
Hello. Hello.
Okay, caller, whenever you're ready, just say hello.
Hello.
But
hello.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for positive writing and positive thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure what's going on with our caller, but whenever our caller's ready, just say hello, and we'll pick it right on up.
Yes. Hello.
Okay, and you were saying?
Well, as far as reading is concerned, as far as the young artists, I mean, it's like it goes hand in hand. Music, reading, I would put them hand in hand because, like, I do a lot of writing as far as producing and write for other people too, and for me to basically even find a great creative idea, I'd have to go to my library on certain different. I read different types of books as well. You know, so whether it's history, fiction, nonfiction, you know, you still have to incorporate that in your system, so you know exactly what you're speaking about, it, or you know, or even just to put stories together. You know, because we have artists like from back then. If I like to call out certain artists, we had like an artist that's well known, like Slick Rick, and he had a album. Oh, one of his famous albums called The Art of Storytelling. You know, The Adventures of Slick Rick, the art of storytelling, and he is like, I mean, one of the greatest storytellers in music. I mean, as far as we're concerned, you know, that actually put out certain stories that he wrote about and put it in a music form. I mean, the creativity behind it, you know, is just great. And there's no way you can do that without reading. I mean, you have to. I mean, not necessarily reading about what you just wrote about, but overall. You know, you have to understand that, you know, the common English language, you know, just to basically become a writer, you know. Well, and you walk along the streets and you hear a lot of young people not even speaking proper English. Right. And there's a place for slang. Yeah. But when slang is your primary language, what does that say? You basically limit yourself. You just pretty much... You just limited. You just limited yourself to basically going as far as you could possibly go. And number two, you're probably not really paying attention in class because we learned this in elementary. You know, I mean that's just one and two. I mean you have to crawl before you walk, and the same goes for basically learning how to speak. Even learning from your household. You know, your parents or people that you grew up around. If that's all you're gonna learn, then I guess in a sense it kind of defeats us to pushing us as far how far we can go, you know.
But like you were saying with the music, if they only listen to one type of music,
they're only going to be limited. You know? They just limit themselves, you know. But so far you can go, you know. Okay, I mean, with you, we've talked mostly about hip hop, but I mean, what are some of your? What do you listen to other than hip hop? What are some of your personal influences along the spectrum? And I'm going to pose the same question to you as well. I got a lot of easy listening I listen to as well, but I've been doing that for, like, it's like for certain moods or emotions that I'm feeling or I want to grab a hold of, I'll listen to a certain type of music. You know, if I want to feel like I want to just lay back on a Saturday, I might put on Sade or something like that just to get into a nice little vibe, you know. Or if I want to listen to some R&B and listen to some Luther, you know, the late great Luther Vandross, and get into some inspiring vibe, or you know, or certain music. There's no limit. I mean, I'm universal when it comes down to music. It's like in Spanish music. There's certain music in Spanish that I listen to. A lot of it I don't understand, but it sounds good. You know, I heard a lot of music that sounds good, and I would still just absorb it, just the way they put it together. You know, it puts you in a world. I mean, music puts us in the world. From when the Walkman was first created, and we put the Walkman on, and we go on the train, and we block the whole world out and vibe with our music. You know, it puts us where we want to be. You know?
Hello, caller. Welcome.
Hello, how are you?
Okay.
Okay, I have a question for you. I enjoy your panel there, and talking about music, I guess I'm going to show my age a little bit here, but I prefer the music from back in the 70s, you know, the classic soul, R&B type of groups. You're talking about the Stylistics, the Delphonics, Blue Magic, all these...
Right. I like them groups too.
Yeah, exactly, right. The kind of groups that sing about love, things universal, something that will never go away. And I know I'm showing my age now, and I'm not ashamed to say it, because I do notice when I go to the shows and see some of these groups, I do notice, and I take glee in that sometimes you do see some younger people there. Yeah. So there are some young people who do realize the connection between those classic soul groups and these new groups that would probably not even be around if it weren't for the foundation that was laid by these groups back in the 70s.
Absolutely.
Whatever. So my thing is that longevity. I really wonder whether a lot of these rap groups that are out there now, 35, 40 years from now, will still be around, where a group like, say, the Stylistics or Blue Magic, who have been around 35, 40 years, will still be
perform.
Heard then. I'd like to get your opinion on that.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, going back to what I was saying before about creativity and taking music from different genres and creating your own style to make it historical that could last a long time as far as longevity, that's exactly what I mean by these new groups not understanding where it all came from, and not finding a style and a sound that will last for all of these years. There's a lot of new groups out here that never even never knew where a lot of this music came from. You know what I mean? And if you limit yourself as far as making music and sound refurbished or sound like someone else, no, you won't last. Yeah. There's a lot of artists that won't last. That's how come the biggest discussion in hip-hop now is hip-hop dead, because we're hearing a lot of refurbished music that doesn't sound like it will last today. It won't last today. When hip-hop first started, we have artists like Run DMC and Houdini that would probably forever be, you know, basically acknowledged, you know.
And from a storyteller's perspective, do you find major differences from the music, say, of 5-10 years ago to the music of now?
Well, we're going to go back farther than that. 50s, 60s, even the 40s. I mean, I grew up in a home with music, and my parents were from the big band era. So I learned to appreciate that. Then when I grew up, it was like doo-wop and the beginning of rock and roll. So this is all, so I can see where they're coming from that, but it's like I don't really like the idea of losing what we had.
Right.
And we're in jeopardy of doing that.
I mean, every so often what's old is new. And everything cycles. I know we spoke about that on our last conversation. Yeah. Things tend to move in circles. And it's just how large the circle is and how long it takes for things to come,
That's the question.
around.
But you know, like Ryan was saying, they have gleaned from what's in the past, but a lot of them don't even recognize that.
Right.
And they don't even know where it came from.
I guess that's where the history lessons come valuable.
Yeah.
Like in my household, I grew up with music in my household, you know, stepfather being a DJ, and my mom just basically was a collector of music. So at a young age, I was hearing all of these groups, touching albums I was told not to touch, you know, might scratch the vinyls.
And you're saying albums, and they don't have albums now?
And listening to these music and learning the words and learning the vibes and then understanding the songwriters opposed to, you know, songwriters today and what they wrote about. It's like songs back then. You know, I was a child then. You know, songs back then were written about love, you know, and stuff that used to keep the family together, family reunion and stuff like that. You know,
And like you're saying, learning the words.
Yeah.
Learning the words. Which meant something.
It did. It meant something.
Yeah.
It really meant something. And it's like she was saying, we're like almost in danger of losing that type of touch when it comes to writing music. But then at the same time, I don't know, who do we put the blame at? Do we put it on record labels? Do we put it on record execs? Is it that the music industry are more geared to the money aspect of it than the love and the creativity? As far as groups, groups are being extinct. I don't see too many men groups anymore. Women groups are basically being defined as there's only one type of class of people that we're looking for.
If you look back to the 80s, it was all about the boy bands. Now it's all about the girl bands. And bands, I use the word loosely because it's manufactured pop.
Yeah.
And I just want to invite the viewers to call in again. Our phone number is 718-460-9802, and we are live on March 22nd, 2007. Please give us a call. But I mean, the manufactured pop or the manufactured music, whatever genre of music that you want to talk about, versus true creativity. And you have record contracts being given away as game show prizes. Yeah. And not that there's not a place for that, and not that the contestants aren't without talent, but talent versus creativity aren't the same thing.
But we get swallowed up because you were saying the words.
Yeah.
Now, I know I'm dating myself, like the gentleman on the phone, but I don't understand half of
what's being projected today, right?
Yeah, you were saying that they take from the old a lot of the artists.
Yeah.
But I don't.
But they're not going too far back. You see, like when hip hop, the culture actually first started, we were taking from old groups as far as R&B and rock and roll and stuff like that, putting it together. New groups today are just taking from lesser years, and they're calling it old school. Something 5 years ago, 6 years ago, they're calling it old school. I'm like, no.
Calling it influences and calling it just recycling.
Right.
What's the difference?
Recycling? The difference?
Yeah. Between recycling and being influenced by.
Well, recycling is basically just limited. You're limited because you're only going to go but so far, and basically take what you see or hear that's probably today, and just use it to, I could do it this way. I'll do it this way. Inspired now, that's a big word that fits in the same category as love. Having a love for something. You know what I mean? When you're inspired by something, you have a love for, like writers that wants to follow Ebony Dawn, they're inspired. That means if you're inspired by Ebony Dawn, you have a passion and love for writing.
But if you copy, it's called plagiarism.
Well, true. But now you're saying inspired. Now I'm wondering, as far as with the music, the subject matter of hip-hop is hard to follow sometimes.
See, there's a difference. There's two words here. We got inspired and we got influenced. You see, there's a difference between being inspired and being influenced. Now, on an influence scale, I will probably put something there to where they only could see, but as far as their eyes can see, and influence to basically more or less on peer pressure or wanting to fit in more on a scale of, I won't even say negativity, but down a path that only could go up the block. Influence. We're talking about a world that can. Oh man, that's just an open world and going as far as your imagination can take you. You know what I mean? But sharing a love for it. I have a love for music, so I'm influenced by artists that loves this music. So the music that I choose, I listen to everyone. I won't even be biased to artists. I listen to everyone whether I don't like it or not. But I can't say I don't like this type of music or this type of artist if I don't listen to it. I can't judge it if I don't listen to it. I have to define what I don't like about it or why I'm not influenced by it. I have a love for it. You know what I'm saying? Still my opinion. I have a love for it. So if I'm not getting something out of it that can further my growth, make me go forward, better my life, and make me happy, Because at the end of the day, music makes us happy. This is what we turn on the music for. I mean, if you're influenced by music to make you angry, if you want to get angry, and I'm gonna listen to this because I need to get, well,
sometimes you do.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're in a state of mind where you need to feel very strongly and get it out of your system in a way that's not going to harm yourself or the people around you.
Well, like you were saying with the copycatting. Yeah. Well, what are they copycatting? I mean, you already have the anger and you have the disrespect, some of the music. So when you copycat off of that, well then I'm not really getting it.
In other words, where are you going?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We're going into our last minute.
Yeah.
So just as a final thought, what direction, I'll start with, what direction would you like to see the younger generation channel their creativity?
I would like them to know where they came from. Learn about the old to help you go towards the future. You cannot just start from a middle point and go where you're floundering. So they have to go back and they have to learn and become human.
Okay, and 15 seconds.
Just to basically piggyback on what she said, it's just like knowing where you came from, because that'll identify where you're at. And if you can't identify where you're at, you won't know where you're going. So it all plays the same part.
Okay, and we are at the end of our show, and we are going to the closing credits. And I want to thank you both very, very much for coming back. It's been a great time. It's been a learning experience for me, and hopefully for our viewers as well. And I do want to thank you for joining us. Our website, www.talkingabout.info, Moments by Ebony Dawn, and through talkingabout.info, a link to Ryan's MySpace page. Thanks. Have a great night.